Welcome back to True Crime Midnight. This is where we dive into the darkest corners of humanity. If you haven't seen part 1 or part 2 of this series, pause now and catch up because today is part 3. A story inspired by true events about the 5th victim of the killer couple Victor Moreau and Sylvie Laurent. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, and brace yourself, because this story will give you chills. In 1990, the town of Valence, France, is a postcard of cobblestone paths, a 13th century church, and sprawling vineyards under the sun. Families picnic by the river on weekends, and life feels slow and safe. But beneath this serene surface, in shadows of those quiet streets, Victor Moreau and Sylvie Laurent hunt for their 5th victim. This series has already covered 4 of their victims, and today's story is about Anna Morel, a young woman who walked into a deadly trap with no warning. If you've seen the first 2 parts, drop a comment with the moment that haunted you most. New here? Buckle up, because this story isn't for the faint of heart. Anna Morel was 20 years old, a British student who arrived in Valence for an internship as an English teaching assistant at a local high school. She had blonde hair tied back in a ponytail, wore a light jacket over jeans, and carried a backpack full of books. Her friends described her as kind-hearted, always helping others, with a smile that lit up a room. But her trusting nature became her downfall. In late May 1990, with spring air still warm, Anna placed a small ad in a local paper. English lessons, affordable rates, contact Anna. It was a simple way to earn extra money and connect with locals. That ad, however, caught the eye of Victor Moreau, a predator known in whispers as the Monster of Valence. Days later, Anna's phone rang. Victor's voice was smooth, polite, claiming he was a father seeking English lessons for his young son. They chatted briefly, and he suggested a meeting to discuss details. Anna, excited about a potential client, agreed. The meeting was set for 7 p.m. at a small café on the outskirts of Valence, a cozy spot with checkered tablecloths, steaming coffee, and locals chatting over pastries. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the nearby river, Anna arrived on her bicycle, locking it up with a casual whistle. She stepped inside, scanning the room, her heart light with anticipation. At a corner table sat Victor and his wife, Sylvie Laurent. Victor, in his early 40s, looked like a respectable family man. Neatly combed hair, a button-up shirt, and a disarming smile that hid the monster within. Sylvie, also in her 40s, wore a floral dress and had a soft, maternal face, the picture of a harmless homemaker. She greeted Anna with a warm hug, insisting on buying her coffee. "Come, sit, dear," Sylvie said, her voice like honey. The conversation flowed easily. Victor spoke of his son's struggles with English, emphasizing its importance for his future. Anna shared stories from her classes, laughed at his jokes, and felt completely at ease. Sylvie nodded along, asking gentle questions about Anna's life in England, her family, her dreams. It was all so normal, so reassuring, but as the evening wore on, the mood shifted. Victor suggested they continue the discussion at their home nearby. "It's just a short drive, and we have tea ready." Anna paused, glancing at the darkening sky outside. The café was nearly empty, and the river's gentle flow seemed distant. Sylvie leaned in, her eyes soft and pleading. "Don't worry, love. We'll drive you back afterward. It's no trouble." That maternal tone, that false sense of safety, worked. Anna, trusting and polite, agreed. She followed them to their unassuming car in the dim lot. Victor held the door open like a gentleman, and as Anna slid into the back seat, the door clicked shut with a finality she didn't grasp. The engine started, and they drove into the twilight. The trap had snapped closed. Victor and Sylvie didn't drive to a cozy home. They took Anna to an abandoned house on the edge of town, a crumbling relic hidden by overgrown weeds, forgotten by time. The car stopped in the pitch black, far away from street lights or prying eyes. The nightmare unfolded in slow, horrifying steps. Inside, the house was a derelict shell. Broken windows let in cold drafts. Dust-covered floors creaked underfoot. Anna's voice trembled as she asked, "Where's your son?" Victor's polite mask shattered. A predatory grin spread across his face as he locked the door. "There is no son," he hissed, his eyes gleaming with sadistic delight. This was Victor Moreau's true face, a man who thrived on control, who saw women like Anna as playthings to break for his amusement. His cruelty wasn't just violence, it was a ritual, a twisted game where he savored every moment of fear. Anna's panic erupted. Her heart pounded as she backed away, her mind racing. This can't be happening, she screamed, a raw, desperate cry that echoed off the empty walls. Let me go, please, and lunged for the door. Victor was faster, grabbing her arm with a grip that bruised instantly. She fought like a cornered animal, kicking, scratching, her nails drawing blood from his face as she clawed for freedom. Tears streamed down her cheeks, mixing with the dirt as she fell to the floor. Help! Someone please, she begged, her voice breaking into sobs. Every breath was a gasp, every second an eternity of terror. A 20-year-old girl, far from home, realized too late the monster she trusted. Sylvie stood in the shadows, arms crossed, her face a mask of cold indifference. Her wickedness lay not in brute force, but in her enabling silence. She didn't help Anna. She watched with detached calm, perhaps even a flicker of satisfaction. Sylvie Laurent wasn't coerced. She was complicit, the perfect enabler who made Victor's depravity possible. As Anna's struggles weakened under Victor's blows, punches that left her face swollen and bloodied, Sylvie turned away, as if it were just another chore. Victor, fueled by his twisted ego, didn't stop at violence. He assaulted her repeatedly, his laughter cutting through her cries like a knife. He prolonged her suffering, savoring her fear, his hands methodical as he inflicted pain. Finally, he wrapped his hands around her throat, squeezing until her eyes bulged and her body went limp. The needle marks he left, tiny deliberate pricks as his signature, were a final sadistic insult. Sylvie helped drag the body to the river later that night, her movements steady, as if disposing of trash. By morning, fishermen found Anna's body floating in the Valence River, naked and broken. The autopsy revealed strangulation, blunt force trauma, and those eerie needle wounds. Sylvie wasn't just a bystander. She was the perfect bait, making Anna and other victims feel safe. Victor and Sylvie were a well-oiled killing machine, their partnership a chilling blend of dominance and deception. Anna, their fifth victim, was another piece in their twisted puzzle. Anna's parents, Robert and Marie Morel, flew from England to France when they heard she was missing. They arrived in a foreign country, staring at the river where their daughter's body was found, the water now a haunting grave. Devastated, they refused to give up. For over 3 decades, they hired private investigators and lawyers, pressured French police with letters and media appeals, and appeared on TV to keep Anna's face alive. She was our light, Robert said in an interview, his voice cracking. But in 1990, the police hit a dead end. No cameras, no witnesses, just Anna's body and unanswered questions that haunted the family nightly. Why didn't anyone notice the danger? How many red flags were missed in that quiet town? Victor Moreau was arrested in 2003 for other crimes, but Anna's case stayed unsolved, buried under bureaucracy. Sylvie Laurent once admitted she helped Laurent, describing her nice mom role with chilling detail. Then, in a manipulator's move, she retracted her statement, claiming coercion, stalling the case for years. Investigators noted patterns, newspaper ads, false family stories, but lacked proof. In 2018, a new judge cracked the case open. Under intense interrogation, Victor confessed, his voice dripping with arrogance. He called Anna's murder a game of chess, detailing how he planned every move, from the ad to the strangulation, as if her life was a pawn. He led police to the abandoned house in Riverbank, pointing out where he dumped her body, his calm making detectives sick. But in 2021, Victor died in prison from illness, escaping a final trial and leaving the families with unfinished rage. In 2023, Sylvie Laurent, now in her 70s, frail but unrepentant, faced trial for Anna's murder and other crimes. The courtroom revealed horrors. Sylvie heard Anna's screams but did nothing, even helping hide the body, driving to the river under cover of night, her hand steady. Anna's family in the front row couldn't bear it. They stormed out in tears, Marie collapsing outside. "How could a woman do this?" she whispered to reporters. After weeks of testimony exposing the couple's evil, Sylvie was sentenced to life in prison for the second time, with no parole. It was a hollow victory for Anna's parents, a bittersweet closure after 33 years, but they're haunted. Why did justice take so long? Was it incompetence or a refusal to face such everyday monsters? Victor Moreau was a textbook antisocial personality. No guilt, no remorse, treating victims as pawns. His cruelty was calculated, a sadistic ritual where he savored breaking spirits before bodies. Those needle marks were his art, marking his territory and prolonging terror. Sylvie Laurent is the enigma. Psychologists call her a passive accomplice. She didn't kill, but enabled Victor by creating safety. That smile, those words, knowing the horror awaiting. Was she manipulated or complicit by choice? Finding power in submission? FBI studies show 20% of killer couples follow this dynamic. One dominant predator, one enabling shadow. Victor's force and Sylvie's deception made them unstoppable. A reminder that evil hides in unsuspected partnerships. How many more victims of Victor and Sylvie lie undiscovered? Their stories lost to the river. Drop a comment if you want us to explore Sylvie's role. Why did she enable this? Could it happen today? Anna Morel's story, The Fifth Victim, shows darkness can lurk in peaceful places, turning a simple ad into a death sentence. Part 4 will dive into another chapter of Victor and Sylvie's crimes. Want another victim's story or Sylvie's psyche? Comment Part 4 below. Like, share, hit that bell to stay updated. Stay safe, stay curious. This is Bone Chill Files, and we'll be back.